The situation in Ukraine is heating up by the day, and the State Department now coming out again saying that this Russian invasion of Ukraine is imminent, it's going to happen. So guys, the Western media is beating the wars of drum. Like, it's going to happen, beating the wars of drum, why Russia's like bad, this is going to happen. Guys, let's take a step back and look at how we got in this place and what can be done about it. In 2014, in Ukraine, the president, Viktor Yanukovych, was kicked out in a coup instigated by the CIA. The CIA kicked him out, riled up a lot of Nazi fascist support in the area, got him kicked out, and installed a puppet president who was later replaced by another puppet president, pro-West. In exchange, Ukraine was promised NATO membership. This government was promised NATO membership. They would get the benefits economically and militarily of being part of NATO. Now, of course, this didn't sit very well with Russia, who had always, Russia and Ukraine have always been united. Ukraine they speak Russian. They were part of Ukraine is one of the republics of the USSR. So obviously it did not sit very well with Russia. In Ukraine, in the eastern part of Ukraine, two republics, Donetsk and Lugansk, declared their independence from Ukraine after 2014. They said, we want to be independent. Guys, this is legal under Ukrainian constitution. It is allowed that the republics can decide if they want to be part of Ukraine or they want to succeed and be independent. Both these regions had a referendum, and the same thing with Crimea. Crimea had a referendum too, guys. It wasn't military taken. Russia had no part in this. Crimea said they want to be part of Russia, but Lugansk and Donetsk said we're not going to be part of Russia. We want to be independent. We want our own independence, guys. This is democracy, right? You have a referendum. People decide what they want to do. They want to vote, and this was legal. This was not just some breakaway, like fought with guns. This is like a referendum where under the Ukrainian constitution, where these two republics decided they wanted to be separate, and they voted on it. They became separate. Immediately, Ukraine launched a war against them, and it's been going on since 2014. I've been there almost a dozen times. I've seen this with my own eyes. The Ukrainian army is bombing city centers, schools. They blew up the airport, the mining, the apartment complexes. They're not even targeting military sites. They're targeting people. And I've seen this, and it's going on, and it's escalating now. It's escalating. I have friends there. I was there just 3 months ago, and I saw this with my own eyes. I saw the Ukrainian army lobbing mortars over into city center, just like randomly at the mall, killing people. And 2 days ago, now they're having a mass migration, mass exodus from this Donbass region, Donetsk and Lugansk, because the Ukrainian army has upped up the attacks against the people there. And so they're leaving. But the Western narrative is this is a false flag. Russia is making this up in a reason to attack Ukraine. Guys, it's happening. It's not a false flag. And the Ukrainian army is attacking, and they're using American missiles, American bombs, American tanks and military to do this. America has given them the equipment and more and more sophisticated equipment, bombs, more as everything else to attack these civilians in the Donbass region. So guys, let's go back up. So in 2014, this coup was staged. Kiev became closer to the West. Guys, what if Russia went to Canada and staged a coup, got rid of Trudeau, got rid of the Prime Minister of Canada, installed its own puppet leader, and this leader made an agreement with Russia to have not only closer economic ties, but install military bases, nuclear weapons, everything else, become basically a proxy of Russia. Guys, the United States would have none of it. They'd have none of it. And Russia in 1962, the USSR tried to have a base in Cuba, and America put the line in the sand and said, hey, we're gonna have a war if you try to install one base in Cuba. Guys, NATO's all over. Since 1990, George Bush I made an agreement with Gorbachev, and Russia said, if Russia pulls out, it allows the unification of Germany to become part of the West, and part of NATO, then NATO will not, and this is a quote, will not expand 1 inch further. Since then, 14 different countries have joined NATO, have been allowed to join NATO, and Ukraine has been promised NATO membership as well. So what does Russia want? I mean, the media narrative is, oh, what's Putin thinking? He's crazy. He wants to take Ukraine back because he thinks it's part of Russia, part of the old USSR, and Russia's going to attack. Guys, Putin has said exactly what Russia wants. He wants them to rescind the promise to Ukraine. You can say, written, Ukraine will not be part of NATO. Ukraine will not be part of NATO. That's what he's asking for, and the United States is turning a deaf ear and saying, what, guys? It's very simple. He said Ukraine can't be part of NATO. That's it. Ukraine can't be part of NATO. It was promised by the United States to Russia in 1990, and Russia, the United States keeps breaking its promise, and now they're again breaking its promise, saying that Ukraine's going to be part of NATO. Guys, it's right in Russia's backyard. Like I said, the United States wouldn't tolerate this for 1 second if this was in their backyard, not 1 second. So why do they expect that it's okay for NATO bases to be surrounding Russia, which they do already, nuclear weapons pointed right at Russia, which they are, and now right in the underbelly of Russia, and part of the old USSR, a country that had close ties, a Russian-speaking part of Russia, and they're going to put a NATO base. They're going to make this like a NATO country and put bases there by pointing at Russia and be part of the West. Guys, Putin says no, that Russia will not accept this. Then now America's saying, oh, we want diplomacy. They don't want diplomacy. They want war, because diplomacy's there. Just go back and do what you said you would do and rescind the promise you made to Ukraine, and keep the promise you made to Russia back in 1990 that NATO wouldn't expand, not even taking these 14 countries back, just not expand to Ukraine. This crisis would end in 1 minute if they said, okay, we're not going to expand to Ukraine. It would end in 1 minute. But the United States is not willing to do that because the United States wants a war. It's about regional hegemony, it's about political power, and it's about money. It's about money from natural resources such as the gas. So this is what's going on. This is the United States playing another weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, another lie, another false narrative that's trying to unite the American people, unite the NATO members in Europe into like having this conflict with Russia, a conflict that Russia does not want and wants to avoid, and it's only asking for one thing: NATO will not go to Ukraine.